So the NFL is a little bit now like the NBA, where before I see a team play, I know who can play. And so I said, the draft is great, and the draft will add depth and maybe a starter or two. But to the good teams, I mean, how many guys are going to come out of college football and just start for the Patriots offense? And not many, maybe one, max. And so I thought I'll do a prediction based on what you see now in the NFL, which is teams, the coaches are all set, the coordinators are all set, and the stars are all set. 90% of the guys that are going to impact games this year, they're here. The draft is the 10% stuff that adds low-cost labor, a handful of home run stars, but not a lot of guys that change games. I mean, really, who's going to win and lose games next year out of this draft? Maybe Kyler Murray if he goes to Arizona. Maybe. The second-best quarterback, Dwayne Haskins, isn't even scheduled to start if he goes to the New York Giants. So here we go. A little music. Here are my predictions in the NFL, because I think 90% of the teams and the games, this is what you got. I would start in the NFC East. I think Philadelphia, Malik Jackson next to Fletcher Cox in the interior, best defensive line in football. Deshaun Jackson's a steal for what they're paying him, a home run guy with Carson Wentz. I think Dallas lost Cole Beasley and David Irving. They bring in Jason Witten. But I think Philadelphia is by far and away the best team in that division. They'll win at 12-4. Dallas will be a wild card team at 10-6. I think they'll be a lot like last year. Competent, good, capable of beating everybody they play, but with a ceiling that's lower than Philadelphia's. Washington Giants round out the division. NFC West, I think San Francisco's the one team that doubles their wins. Why? They added Dee Ford, an elite pass rusher. Quan Alexander, one of the top athletic linebackers in football. Tevin Coleman. They now have a 1-2 punch at running back and Jason Verrett at corner. They went out, spent some money, but upgraded the team. Rams, I think, take a step back. Roger Stafford, LaMarcus Joyner, offensive line's just getting older. Todd Gurley, arthritis story. I think Seattle and Arizona are fine, though not special. NFC North, I think the Bears will win it. But I do think a lot of what Chicago did last year was Matt Nagy's smoke and mirrors, hiding a little bit of what Mitch Trubisky can do. I have the Bears winning the NFC North. They added Clinton Dix, who's a very good safety. Vic Fangio, they lost him, their defensive coordinator. You can move the graphic at any time. Bears winning the division. I think Green Bay is second. I will give Green Bay a lot of credit. A lot of people are bailing on the Packers. Excellent free agent moves. They went and got 3 defensive starters. I have questions, though, about Matt LaFleur, the coach. So I have them as a borderline playoff team in Green Bay. Bears win the division. I think Minnesota with Kirk Cousins, they are what we think they are. Great receivers, good coach, lower ceiling in big games against better quarterbacks with Kirk Cousins. Matt Patricia's sort of a mess in Detroit right now. I don't trust them. NFC South, New Orleans, I think they take a step back. I think they win their division. Max Unger, retired. Mark Ingram, gone. Those are power players to support Drew Brees. I think they've had back-to-back years with wildly emotional playoff losses. This division, I think, is sort of a weaker division this year. Atlanta, Carolina are fine. I don't know Cam's health. I just don't know what I get from Cam. And I think there's people in the building that are kind of worn out of Cam. I don't think it's the greatest vibe in the building. They want a little more from Cam. He comes in the least healthy he's ever been. Tampa Bay, Bruce Arians rounds out the bottom. Let's go to the AFC. New England's got 12 draft picks. The word out of New England is Gronk is actually going to stay. And by the way, college tight ends can't block anymore because college football is all spread out. So the fact that Gronk is now an elite blocking tight end is not lost on people around football who I've talked to. They got the best blocking tight end in football who can actually catch. I think the Jets had the most impactful acquisitions of any team in the National Football League. You can't bring in Le'Veon Bell, C.J. Mosley, those are star players for the Jets. Jamison Crowder, an all-pro left guard, and Adam Gase. The Jets fight for a playoff spot. Buffalo's close, 7-9 Dolphins. I think the Dolphins are in a total rebuild. I think they're in a rebuild. I think they're in a complete, utter rebuild for the number 1 pick. Somebody's going to go 4-12 in this league. Why not Miami? But again, I think they know, rookie coach, bringing in Fitzpatrick, moving off Tannehill. I think they're tired of 8-8. I think Miami's like, all right, we're in a complete and utter rebuild with Ryan Fitzpatrick. Long year, but you'll have the number 1 or the number 2 pick next year. In the AFC West, Kansas City's not going to be as dominant offensively. Kareem Hunt's out of town. Tyreek Hill will be. I still think it's a great coach, a great quarterback. There is so much I like about them. Kansas City's interesting. They've had the guts in recent years to move off people like Alex Smith. They moved off Dee Ford, Justin Houston, Eric Berry. Those are hard moves to make in a small market like Kansas City, but they've got the guts to do it because they got Andy Reid and they got Patrick Mahomes. They have Travis Kelce. They have 3 stars, and they're moving off a lot of the expensive guys. I have a lot of respect for that. Chargers, again, I think the Chargers are good. Here's what I worry about with the Chargers. You keep playing in this small stadium, and psychologically, how long can you keep playing in a soccer stadium? It's novel for a year or two, but I think there is some fatigue, them feeling like we're the road team for 16 games a year. Denver and the Raiders round out. I think Flacco will be fine. They'll fight for 500. I don't buy a lot of the Raiders stuff. I think a lot of it's just been overpaying for people. The most controversial pick I'll make today, I have Pittsburgh still winning the division. Let's go to the AFC North. Cleveland will be better, but Joey and I talked about this yesterday. They finished in 3rd last year. They had a losing record. They got blown out 4 times. They added OBJ. I like him. And Kareem Hunt by week 8. I like him. This is still a losing culture with a rookie head coach that I'm not sure is not going to be totally engulfed. I think Cleveland's better and fight for a playoff spot. I'll take Pittsburgh's owner, their quarterback, Kevin Colbert, their general manager, and they still have the best offensive line in that division. I'll take Pittsburgh to win it. Lamar Jackson takes a step back. Cincinnati's a mess. And finally, the AFC South. I think it'll look a lot like last year. I think Nick Foles is going to figure out that once he loses Doug Peterson and his great owner and his great GM in Philadelphia, Nick Foles reverts back to Nick Foles. They round out the rear. I think the Colts have a ton of picks, $75 million left in cap space. The Colts need a number 2 receiver. They got Devin Funchess. They need to get an edge rusher. They will in the draft. I hope they draft another corner, but they're a very good team, getting better. Never forget, they won 9 of their last 11. Marlon Mack emerged as a real running back. So here's how my NFL playoff predictions would look today. And again, we've got a draft. Somebody may make a splashy move and pick up 2 or 3 great college players. But I think your division winners in the NFC are Philly, San Francisco, Chicago, and the Saints. Cowboys, Rams in the wild card. I think in the AFC, it's Patriots, Chiefs, Steelers, Colts, Chargers, Texans, wild card. I think 2 teams in the NFL will double their wins, San Francisco and the Jets. And I think a couple of teams, obviously I've picked a couple of teams to take a step back, like Baltimore I think takes a step back. And who else did I have taking a step back? Jags. Well, they'll be the Jags. So there you go. Rams. I have the Rams taking a little step back. Wild card. They'll go on the road for the playoffs. Hi, everybody. Thanks for watching. Subscribe here to get the latest from the show. Also, be sure to check out more of the best clips from The Herd or go watch a few segments from other shows on FS1.